Hello, Internet. So, what is so bad about microtransactions? And before you watch the entire video, before you start throwing a hissy fit down in the comments, because I know just how angry gamers can be. I really need to do a video on that as well. But before you start throwing a fit, watch the entire video. And before I do anything, I should actually welcome you to the Empirical Sword. I'm Lore Master DLC 79. I'm an INTJ. I'm a gamer, and I have a tendency to talk about things for quite some time, actually. And in this case, it is why, or what is so bad about microtransactions. And really, I think mostly it's this very basic psychological thing of, I paid full price for a game. So why is it that I need to pay more money to access more features of the game? It's a simple. It's like so simple. I don't even know how to describe it in more depth than that. Is what it is. It's almost like DLC. Not me, not DLC 7.9. DLC. Downloadable content. It's like I buy a game and then all of a sudden there's this new stuff and I have to buy that as well. Now, I mean, if it's a sizable DLC that it's like an entire game in and of itself, okay, that I can kind of understand. It's a separate game altogether, but it goes with this game that I already bought. But it's essentially a game in and of itself, so I'm buying another game. That makes sense. I would be okay with that. But sometimes it's like it goes too far. And yes, this is coming in the aftermath of the whole Battlefront 2 microtransactions thing. It's I think another part, a very large part of the whole rage against MT is gamers usually don't have a lot of money. And it's essentially, I don't want to single out any particular developer, but we know the ones that do microtransactions. We know them. They know who they are. It's like they're almost nickeling and diming us. I've never heard it phrased that way, actually. They're nickel and okay, however you would phrase it correctly. They're doing that to gamers just to give them access to the full game. There's, I mean, and here's where we get to the point where big business just doesn't care. I mean, everybody's saying, like, boycott microtransactions, don't use them, and don't buy the products that have microtransactions. They don't care. They don't care. I mean, there's one simple reason why they don't care. Bottom line. I mean, they can even have polls that say 99% of your potential consumer base is boycotting you because they don't like microtransactions. But if the 1% is getting them like a few $1 million a year, they don't care. They don't care about the 99%, or your 2 million or 3 million, however much they consider to be a reasonable profit. It's, as long as they're getting a reasonable profit from the people who are buying, they don't care about the people who aren't buying. You're not hurting them, or at least they don't see it as hurt. Now, if they were losing money on their products, then they would care. But it's I work in a restaurant, and in this restaurant, this is going somewhere, by the way. In this restaurant, there's this rule. Every single plate gets a sprig of parsley. It's like a couple of leaves with a stem. The stem is basically dental floss. The customers aren't supposed to use it as dental floss. It's a culinary joke. It's like, I don't like flossing with my food, or I don't want my food to have dental floss in it. That's what it literally is. But because it's pretty, it has to go on the plate. Well, you know what? When the plates come back to be washed, you know what's on every single one of them? Parsley, uneaten. Nobody eats it. Nobody wants it. It's coming back. Every single thing of parsley that goes out comes back. The customers are basically sending a message: we don't want this. But the people running the business, they only care about whether or not people buy the plate. As long as they're buying, we're selling. It doesn't matter that they don't like the parsley. It doesn't matter that you don't like microtransactions. It doesn't matter that you even boycott the products or boycott the entire company. They don't care. They care about the people who are buying. And as long as they're buying, we're selling. And personally, in my opinion, that's a very selfish and borderline psychopathic business philosophy. As long as they're buying, we're selling. I mean, and I know that nobody's the big business isn't going to be listening to this opinion, but it's about giving the consumer what they want, really. And I think that's really what's so bad about microtransactions. People have been very vocal about the fact that they don't want it, or if they do want it, they want it in a slightly more reasonable kind of fashion. Not the nickeling and diming. I don't know how to say that right. I mean, they don't want that. They and I mean, I'm going off on a tangent here because I just thought of some of the ridiculous microtransactions I've seen. It's like cosmetic gear. For $1, you can wear a hat. For $1, you can wear. For another $1, you can make a sword that looks like a rubber chicken. It's stupid stuff, really. It's like, why would people want it? I mean, and yes, people buy it because there are some people who want it. But just because they're buying doesn't mean you should be selling. And really, this is going on longer than I want. But it's in my mind, it's like so obvious. Just give the customers what they want. If they want to buy different maps, make it reasonably priced. But if they want different maps and the maps weren't included in the original product, or if you couldn't get to putting those maps in the original product and you want to add them later as DLC, and technically DLC is kind of a microtransaction. I mean, we're basically splitting hairs, distinguishing between microtransaction and DLC, because they're very, very similar. I mean, if you couldn't get to all the content you want, if you couldn't, I'm talking to developers who aren't listening, by the way. If you couldn't get to producing all of the content that you wanted into the final product and you want to release it later as a DLC or a microtransaction, make it reasonably priced, but do it as long as the people want it. But putting highly desirable things behind an additional paywall, it's ridiculous. And really, that's the whole thing right there. It's, give the people what they want. This whole, if they're buying or selling, forget it. Find out what people actually want, and you give it to them at a reasonable price. No nickeling and diming. I should stop trying to say that, considering that I don't know how to say it. But we don't edit here, so it's staying in. But I mean, that's essentially the whole point. This is why everybody's upset. They don't want it, and they continue getting this thing that they don't want, and maybe it's over. I mean, I haven't really looked at what. I mean, I don't know all of the microtransactions that exist for every single game. let alone the one that's technically in question. Battlefront 2. I mean, I've not even bought the game. I'm not even into Star Wars lately, but it's beside the point. So, I mean, I don't even know what the microtransactions look like, or I mean, but the things I've heard, they may be overpriced, and that's essentially the whole thing right there. If they're buying, they're selling. If they're buying, we're selling. Forget it. It's this is a new the 21st century. This is going to be a new era of business, where if they're buying, we're selling. It's not going to fly, because people are just too impatient for that. It has to be about value. Deliver the value that people want. Make it reasonably priced. Make it underpriced. Make it underpriced, and then ask for donations if people want to donate more. You know, that's an idea right there. But this is not how big business thinks, because big business is like 200 years behind the times. And I should probably wrap this up right here, because I just, you know, drop a bombshell, drop the mic, walk away. That's how you do it. Except I'm not doing that because I'm still talking. But yeah, if oh yeah, school doesn't teach. I have to remember, I'm not doing one of those videos, so I need to advertise that I'm doing those videos. The school doesn't teach. We have to be a Masters of Our Education. If you want to know more about that, I have an entire playlist where I talk about the things that school should be teaching but isn't. I will link that to you at the end of the video, which might be right about now. I should stop doing this because the timing is always wrong. But yeah, playlist right here. And yeah, we're all about the intellectual gaming here. So I do gaming content, and I do intellectual stuff like this. And yeah, if you want to see more of that, if that interests you, subscribe and hit that bell icon as well. So the bell icon is probably like, no, subscribe is like over here. The bell icon is down. I don't know where all the things are, but they're somewhere on the screen. Subscribe, bell icon, and yeah, whatever video you're watching next, I will see you then.